don't know the power of the Star Wars Guys podcast, join me. Be a subscriber.
No, it's like Uncle Sam, but it's Darth Vader.
gotta
Like,
have one
join
of those.
today.
I want you. I want you.
That would be a good thing.
Simba.
Do you want to serve the evil empire?
Simba.
As far as the
Join
Empire
the dark
touches.
side.
Everything the light touches.
Now it's
Why
just,
are you starting with Darth Vader today?
well, rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I know it's been a week and a half now or so, I think, maybe almost 2 weeks since the passing of a true acting legend,
Yeah.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many actors, I think, out there
Yeah.
that when you hear, I mean, for the last 5 years, let's be honest, for the last 5 years, whenever I've been on a social media thing and I see James Earl Jones trending, I think, oh no, I hope he
I
didn't.
know.
As a lot of these actors get older,
We've
Yeah.
all been dreading
You
this
see-
moment.
some of these actors
Yeah.
you grew up with, I see Michael Caine trending. I go, oh, I hope he's okay.
I
'Cause
know.
these guys
I
are getting
know.
older and they're
I
not going to
know.
live forever. And unfortunately, it was James Earl Jones' time. But
Yep.
he is
Yep.
to us. He's done a lot of different roles, but to us, he's Darth Vader.
Darth
He's the
Vader.
voice
Darth
of Darth
Vader.
Vader.
Yeah.
He is.
And,
He's a legend.
So we're here. We're gonna talk. We'll talk about some other stuff as well today. But definitely one of the things we'll
Yeah.
talk about is James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
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 And yeah, we're obviously, it's sad news, but we're gonna still try and
We're gonna celebrate.
we're gonna celebrate him. We're gonna celebrate his life and the talents that he left us, and we're gonna look at some of our favorite Darth Vader moments. Just kind of celebrate him and the story and the character that he helped create.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. We're excited you're here. As always, we are your hosts, Mike.
Hello there.
See, that was a
Myself, Nate.
Vader. Hello.
Hello
But
there.
she doesn't say that.
And you know him well, Uncle.
Hello there.
We are excited to talk about some of our favorite Darth Vader moments, and like Mike said, we'll kind of touch on some other things, even maybe some news and stuff in the Star Wars
Star Wars Wall.
the Star Wars world, the Star Wars world. That's
Yeah.
a tongue twister.
That's a good one.
But yeah, we're excited. So if you're here, feel free to comment along, share with us some of your favorite Darth Vader moments, and we'll discuss them. Any questions or things that you have, we'll discuss it. I see there's some people in the chat. Derby, welcome.
Welcome.
So yeah, we're excited to dive into it. We're just gonna kind of just start from the top.
Can I start off by saying one thing about? So just a little bit of setting the stage. I've heard some other people talk about this within the last week, and it's so true. I just want to say that before we even get into specific moments, I don't think Star Wars becomes what it becomes if Darth Vader is not as popular as Darth Vader is.
Yes.
And that is, and I don't think Darth Vader becomes what Darth Vader is without the voice of James Earl Jones.
That's right.
I think we've talked about this before. We might even need another we've done like our, Star Wars draft.
Yeah.
When you've got, of the people who are responsible for making this thing, and we've done, okay, you've got your Hall of Famers, your George Lucas, your John Williams,
Yeah.
things that like you pull one of these pieces out.
That's right.
And it
Doesn't
not
work.
It still, it might go, it'll be completely different. It might even be popular. It's not going to be the same. To me, I think James Earl Jones is on that top tier of, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
he's one of the characters, he's not one of the creatives, behind doing that stuff. It's up there with, if Yoda doesn't work in Empire Strikes Back, the franchise just dies because
Right.
it has the first movie, and then they follow it up and they bet on the second movie having one of the new main characters be a Muppet,
Right.
Yeah.
which is just and it will have a lot of screen time, and there's a number of things that go into
Yeah.
why Star Wars is Star Wars, and James Earl Jones is a huge one.
Oh yeah.
It's
Huge.
just-
It's iconic. He was the symbol of
Symbol.
of Star Wars. I mean,
Simba.
I know.
there's so much to it, but yeah, Darth Vader, just the look, but also obviously him doing the voice is what really made the character as powerful and meaningful in the movies. And we see, I'm just looking at chat too because we asked for some favorite moments.
Yeah,
we
let's
got,
hear it, chat.
we got the
We
no.
do have some no.
Yeah.
It seems in your anger you killed her.
I couldn't have. She was alive. I felt it.
No. That's more of a Lucas ism, the adding the big old the no at the end. But it's every time I hear James Earl Jones' voice, I'm like, listen, you could give him great dialogue, he's gonna make it even better. You can give him bad dialogue, and he's gonna make it better.
Yeah.
because his voice is just that great.
Well, one of the things amazing about Star Wars is how many people I had never heard of
True,
that be started in that movie.
Yeah.
So you hear this voice, which is almost
Yeah.
instantly iconic, almost instantly eternal. You hear it, and you're like, "There's no other." That's what
Yeah.
Vader sounds like, and I had never heard of this guy before. Same thing with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Same thing with Carrie Fisher. I had never heard, but here he is all of a sudden. And then somehow to be able to be that sound of his voice be so recognizable, and then go on to do other things.
Yeah.
And still be able to not be overshadowed by it is remarkable.
Definitely.
From Mississippi, a stuttering boy from Mississippi
Yep.
learns to speak, and it's because of him learning to overcome that stuttering pattern that he developed this cadence,
This iconic
which
voice.
made it so
Yeah.
recognizable.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah,
It
without
is.
him, it doesn't. If Vader doesn't have that sound,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Like David Prowse was really upset about it.
Uh-huh.
But if you get him down and you really were to ask David, really, do you really think it's the same?
Oh, and we've seen
the
behind the
same.
scenes.
You
Oh,
can't.
You see the behind the scenes on set when because they would have David Prowse in the suit.
Yeah.
and
In
he'd
the
do
suit,
it,
and
and he
he'd
would
say
do
it.
his voice.
Yep.
And we would be watching and go, oh, yeah, that doesn't work. the
It
same.
doesn't quite
It's not
work
quite
the same.
Yeah, not the same. Versus just one of the coolest, most again.
To be fair, it's not a dig on David.
No.
Nobody can do James Earl Jones.
Not even
Like
close.
even impressionists, like
there are a few people. who
James Earl
can-
Jones.
If Harrison Ford played Darth Vader, it would have been a flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, one of
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah.
actors, but it just wouldn't work.
There
Yeah,
are a
it just-
few.
it
There
just
are
wouldn't
a
work.
few people who have such an iconic voice or such an iconic thing. There's a reason why Morgan Freeman narrates like everything.
That's right.
Because people heard him narrate and they go, "Oh, that's
That's
better
what-
than anyone
that's
I've
how
ever
it's supposed to
heard."
sound.
That sounds that you could be. You could be doing anything. Could be March of the Penguins. I believe he did March of the Penguins.
Join me
Uh,
on the dark side.
So it's
Join me on the dark
Join
side.
me.
yeah.
on the
So there's
dark
so
side.
many reasons I think why Star Wars is Star Wars, but James Earl Jones, it's just iconic, and it's cool because as we grew up, you do come to this as a kid. You just think that is the voice of that is Darth Vader's
Yeah.
voice I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as you get a little bit older, you start to realize, oh, there are actors. And there's Mark Hamill is a actor who plays Luke Skywalker.
Right.
And there's an actor who plays Harrison Ford is an actor who plays Han Solo. And then you get to Darth Vader and you go, oh, that's interesting. There's an actor in the suit and there's a voice. And there's someone who with specifically their voice. And again, shout out to David Prowse again because there's a lot of mannerisms and stuff that is iconic as well.
Oh yeah.
But there's a reason why sold everywhere are those still to this day. I had one when I was a kid, and they still sell them. It's just the helmet with the little voice thing. You click it, and it's the famous Darth Vader
Yeah.
lines.
That's
I
right.
got
like-
one around here somewhere. Even the voice changer. Like
We
they
have
made
one.
Things where you can click it and
Mhm.
it voice changes to make you try and sound like
That's right.
James Earl Jones.
So it's
And
yeah,
how
it's so
unselfish
cool.
too.
Yeah.
Him saying,
Oh yeah.
after I die, feel free to use the
Yeah.
likeness. Go ahead and use it. Keep it going.
Keep
Yeah,
it going.
That's awesome.
it's
It
really
is. It is cool.
cool. Really, really
Because I mean,
Without it, Star Wars dies.
yeah, Darth
Star Wars
Vader.
dies
cool.
without
Yeah,
yeah,
anything you want to do in that era.
yeah,
it's gone.
You
It's
can't.
done.
You can't replace.
Can't
I mean,
do.
there are some people that sound close, but it's kind of like when Mel Blanc died. Bugs Bunny's not Bugs Bunny
Yeah, it's
quite
different.
Yeah.
anymore. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel right.
Yeah.
Same thing would happen. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Yeah.
agree.
he allowed him to keep going. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Should we get into some of our
Yeah,
specifics? here?
Favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite moments.
When I mean, one of the first things I think of when I think of Darth Vader, and there's so many great. I mean, there's everything from Empire. There's everything from. I mean, the whole throne room scene, obviously in Return of the Jedi. But my first thing I think of is the first time I ever saw Darth Vader is in A New Hope. He comes through the doors. First, he doesn't have lines right away. He looks
Right.
around. It's menacing, and then dun dun dun. And it's got the music,
Mm-hmm.
and the rebels have just been shot, and it's great watching now because that's that classic scene where a bunch of the rebels are kind of just, and it's like very 70s, and
Yeah.
and I don't criticize. I love like how much
Yeah.
some parts of Star Wars are very much feel like the time when it was when it was filmed,
Yeah.
and others feel otherworldly where it's like I couldn't tell you what time this was. But then when Darth Vader comes on screen, it is this moment you're just like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. And when he starts talking, it's cool because his voice is higher pitched then, because as he gets older, it gets
Yeah,
deeper.
yeah,
Especially throughout the prequels, it's a whole like I don't know the technical
Rogue
term, but
One?
like a whole octave lower.
Yeah.
Like it's
Rogue
much
One.
lower.
Yeah.
Rogue One, it's so deep.
Rogue
I
One,
know
it
it.
starts to slow down even more.
Yeah.
Obviously, in Rebels, it's
Choke on your aspirations.
like it's kind of a low, slower. But you have the part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. And it's like this
Yeah.
very, but like he's like almost yelling his lines. It's like there are any mercenaries, and he's if there's a consularship, where is the ambassador? And
Yeah.
But then when he really. I think of the scene where you've got he's lifting him up and the boots dangling,
Yeah.
and then that's when he throws the rebel pilots or the rebel officer against
Yep.
the wall. I just think of that whole first scene as kind of one of the first things I think of, and obviously I have a lot more. But
Yeah.
that's when I think of Darth Vader, I immediately go to the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think of that moment too. Very, beginning, first time we see him on screen, the rebels are running. I think that is like obviously the character itself is iconic, but that specific moment is not only embodies like the beginning really of Star Wars and what it becomes, but like it's the beginning in so many ways too of like the story of what is to come, this like jumping right into it. Just right into action, everything, and then we see this, like you said, that we see this character come on screen, and you're like, who is that? And then, give it, a moment later, and then you kind of get to hear the voice, and it all comes together. But yeah, it's, I mean, like it is different because the voice changes a little bit from, over time, but every time I hear it, I just like, oh man, it's perfectly menacing, but also just like nostalgic
Mm-hmm.
too at the same time because we've been with this character for so long.
Right.
Anytime they bring him back, it's just like it's amazing. Like I even think of like Obi-Wan Kenobi series. One of my favorite moments in like all of Star Wars has come from that, where you get the crossover between Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones,
Yeah.
voice overlapping, going in
Right.
and out with the damaged helmet, and it's just all of that is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
So good.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I go back to you were part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. I don't know why I keep coming back to him. And you said, if this is the consularship, where is the ambassador?
yeah.
That whole it's that for some reason there's something, and again I think it maybe comes down to this being the first time we ever see him.
Yep.
But there are more iconic lines later.
Yes.
But when I think of when we were thinking of
Leave
okay,
that to
remembering
me.
when we're saying we're going to talk about Darth Vader moments, same exact line for me. I went right to that.
It's the first.
It's the first
Mhm.
time you're exposed to it, and obviously, while there are more iconic lines later, as far as so there's all the moments obviously between him and Luke, and too late for me, son. And
your father.
I am your father.
Yeah.
What is done in A New Hope is enough, and then and obviously that Empire takes the ball and runs with it, and
Mhm.
really does stuff with it. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your answer there,
No.
but it's just you're getting me excited again. I feel like I want to go watch A New Hope right now.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, I mean, if you think about it, there's not a ton of lines in the first movie.
No, by anyone really.
I mean, no,
Yeah.
because
It's very minimal.
so
Minimal dialogue.
just that little bit
Yeah.
set him up. It matched the character perfectly. He also set, I believe, Vader set the tone as the British, as this quasi-British accent of the bads.
Yeah.
That tone is set by him,
Mhm.
even though it kind of is.
It's like him and Tarkin.
It's more of a
Both
loose
are,
version. That's right. Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
They are, yeah. And so it just, it works. It's exactly what it should be. I wonder what it felt like when Lucas heard his voice for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I've written music and done like video stuff,
Yeah.
and sometimes when you do something, put all the pieces together and it just lands. You're like, I don't know how
Yeah.
it happened. That just hit.
Yeah.
So when they're sitting there listening for the first time, he had to be ecstatic. Like, this is better than I
This
thought
is
it could be.
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
It's so funny. It's funny that Star Wars has become, obviously, is massive and global and everything. It's really interesting that a lot of the things that people talk about when they say, like, what I would say is a lot of the most recognizable moments, characters, don't come from A New Hope, which is what's interesting. So,
Yeah.
A New Hope both
Yeah,
took
true.
the world by storm, and also is the perfect set the stage, introduce stuff, you step into a world, and then some of the other stories after that, especially Empire and Return of the Jedi, then and then that's when we get some of these character moments that go in these different places. But like, so what's interesting is, like, if you ask someone like, oh, name something you know about Star Wars, or someone might say, oh, name one quote from Star Wars. Oh, I am your father. Okay, that's actually not even
Luke,
from.
I am your father.
Luke, I am your father. I'd say, not to be mean, the quote is incorrect.
Yeah.
And then also, it's not even from the first. It's not from.
It's not from the
Star
first one.
Wars.
That's
It's not
right.
It's from Star Wars Empire.
The movie that we know
is.
is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or that it
Yeah.
was Star Wars.
Someone might also say, "Oh, Yoda. Yoda's from Star Wars." Well, he's actually not in the first.
Not in the first
either.
movie.
Yeah.
I know.
And so
Lando, not in the first one.
No.
So it's funny because we've talked in previous podcasts how the first movie is iconic and kind of perfect in its simplicity and like it's minimal.
Mm-hmm.
The story is so small. It's like a vast story as far as importance. Very like, okay, we're in like 3 locations.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, like, you go
Yeah.
say what you want about the prequels because obviously they have their flaws. George is like shooting for the stars with like, oh, we're going here, and then we're in a gladiator arena here.
Then we're
And then we're-
underwater.
Then
And
we're
then
under here. Then we're in Camino.
They're
and
on
then we're doing
Mustafar.
this, and then we're battling in space, and then the Gungans are here. Like, he's doing so much
Mm-hmm.
that you almost forget when you go back and watch New Hope. It's like we're in a desert, and that's great because we filmed in an actual desert, so we don't have to have a ton of.
That's
We
right.
don't have to add a ton of
Yeah.
stuff. When we go on the Death Star, we're not going to be going all around the Death Star. We're going to be in like 2 rooms. You're going to see a hallway, and you're going to see the little meeting where you're introduced to Peter Cushing, and that's pretty much it.
That's right.
And then obviously Obi-Wan kind of wandering the halls a little bit. And then other than that, we're on the Falcon, and then we're on Yavin 4. And then like that's the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in that
Some
fast-paced
external,
movie.
some model shots of the outside of the Death Star.
some model
Yeah.
shots.
Yeah.
Yep, you get some model shots. You get a little bit. You get Obi-Wan going, turning down the
Yeah.
deflector shields and all this stuff, and the tractor beam. And through that, though, it's funny because like it is like threading a needle of it ties into, I think, some. This is not even a criticism of current Star Wars. It is hard to capture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And
Most
especially
people
when
never
the
do it
industry
once.
changes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
99.99999% of people never do it once.
It is very difficult, and also you have to. We'll stick with the lightning analogy. It is hard to capture lightning in a bottle when locations and weather changes. Like you're in a different location, it's hard. It might be not as easy as before.
Right.
We're in a different time in society. We're a different time in the film industry with streaming, all the stuff that we get.
Yep.
It is hard to capture the imaginations of people in the same way, especially when I think a lot of the data says that a lot of kids aren't even the ones watching streaming services. Like it's like adults who have already
Yeah.
liked this stuff.
Yeah.
Or I saw something the other day that like the stats of like a middle school and high school and even early college kids is like the lowest demographic of people who go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
When like growing up, it was like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Like other than like playing
Yeah.
sports on our sports teams,
That's right.
it was always like, oh, I can't wait to go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they don't go to the movie. The people who go to the movie theater are parents taking younger kids.
Yeah.
So like those who are going to go
Yeah.
see Despicable Me and all of that stuff,
Yep.
which is why
Mhm.
those movies, Inside Out, are crushing it.
Crushing it.
That's right.
Minions crushing.
But like
or
the
it's just like- yeah.
Fortnite age kids
Mhm.
just are not. They're doing gaming. They're gaming or they're doing stuff online or they're just
Yeah.
not. And so again, that'll kind of get into a little more we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but it all ties back to James Earl Jones and just like it's amazing the impact that Vader has had
Mhm.
on not just Star Wars but just pop culture. He is one of the most famous. I'm trying to think of a more famous character. There are more famous actors. There are people. A more famous character where a person off the street sees a picture of Darth Vader, and even someone who doesn't know Star Wars can probably
Yeah.
point out that that is from Star Wars and that that's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Or if you ask someone, have you heard of Darth Vader? Well, I've heard. I can't think of a person, at least in other
Never heard
countries
of
maybe
Darth
who haven't
Vader.
seen it, but in America, I can't think of someone
Right.
that I know who has not heard of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
True.
More than probably more than like a Luke Skywalker. Even though Luke is
Oh,
famous,
yeah.
Darth Vader is on all
I think, yeah.
the merch.
I would
He's-
Easily
say
the
more
easily the
people
greatest
know-
villain of all time.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, he is.
Mm.
More people know Darth Vader than Luke
iconic.
Skywalker.
Doesn't even
Yeah.
even cover it.
Yeah.
It's
Do you
just-
guys have a other than Star Wars? Do you have? We got Mufasa in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have another role?
I love
Any-
him in Sandlot.
I was gonna
Sandlot?
say Sandlot. Want to play baseball?
Unbelievable.
George, I love his story. He's
George.
talking about how
Want to play baseball?
George.
His laugh. Is,
Oh, I knew him, and he knew
George.
me. Herman Roof.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he was playing, and then
George?
fastball, and then pow, lights went out. Unfortunately, he got blind
Great.
because he got hit. But he's just, definitely for me. I think of
Yeah.
the first three things I personally think of are obviously Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I think of him as Mufasa. and I think
Mufasa.
of him in
What year was
I think
Sandlot?
that's
Do you guys
it, yeah.
remember?
Oh gosh,
I don't-
that's a great question.
I don't remember, but I would
Don't
say
know.
while
Feel
he's
free
looking
to throw
up,
that in there if you guys know.
I would say I think.
What
the
year
same
did
three
Sandlot, the
things.
movie,
We're
come
saying-
out?
I just said while he looks that up, I think of the same three things. I think Star Wars,
1993.
Mufasa,
93.
93,
Mm-hmm.
and Sandlot.
Well, I was thinking of Field of Dreams too.
I know. I was just
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
say, if
yeah,
I
yeah,
went a
Field of
fourth, I would think
Dreams.
Field of
Yeah,
Field of
Dreams.
Dreams is
Sure.
amazing. And then the Jack Ryan movies.
Oh yeah.
He's in
Mhm.
there with
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin.
Uh huh.
I think he's in there with Harrison Ford
Yeah.
too. He
yeah,
does
yeah.
that. Great
love it.
character. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's.
Simba.
He's also
Simba.
one of those guys too that like if you look up, similar to me, like he's one of these guys that I want to go through and watch at some point some of his other films because he's done a lot more. He's done a lot more than I know him as.
Yeah.
And similar to like an Alec Guinness is he was the pull. They needed one star. Well, him Peter Cushing as well. But like it's interesting when you see some of these guys at the time who had been in stuff, and I didn't know him because I was a kid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I only know him as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I only know James Earl
Right,
Jones as
right.
Darth Vader. Going back later and really getting caught up on their filmography,
Yeah.
something I'd like to do.
Throwing in some
We got-
Doctor Strange Love,
Oh,
1961, 64, his first movie on here.
That's crazy.
64.
Then he was also in The Exorcist 2 in 1977,
Oh wow.
right before New Hope comes out. Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Coming to America.
You
Remember
said
King
Conan the O'Brien?
Conan the O'Brien.
Conan
O'Brien the
O'Brien.
Barbarian.
O'Brien the Barbarian.
Coming to America. Remember
Oh,
King
I didn't know
Jaffe?
he was in
Yeah.
I
King
didn't
Jaffe.
know he was in Coming to America.
What a great Hunt for Red October. Patriot Games. That's the one with Harrison Ford.
Yep.
Sandlot, Clear and Present Danger. Those are the Jack Ryan movies.
Yep.
Mhm.
The Lion King. Got a
Yeah.
favorite quote from The Lion King?
I love. And there's a lot-
Everything the light
Yeah, I was
touches
just gonna say.
is our kingdom. A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. Remember.
Sneakers.
who you
Forgot about
are.
that.
Remember.
You guys have never seen Sneakers. That's a great movie. You ever seen that one?
Sneakers. I've never
Mm-mm.
seen it all the way through.
Ensemble cast. It's
Yeah. I've caught
really
it on
good.
TV.
Robert Redford is the main
Yeah.
driver
Okay.
in
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But imagine like the biggest stars of the movie and do it. They're all. It's a heist kind of movie. They're
Yeah.
spy thing. They all have their niches.
It
And
seemed really
Yeah.
fun.
James
yeah.
Earl Jones is in there. It's really good. Yep. Summersby. I remember that one. Some of these I have. Cry the Beloved Country.
Ooh, I've read that book.
Yep. So
That's
there's. I'm not sure this is an exhaustive list. Soul Man, but it's controversial today.
Mm.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one where somebody's in? Is it blackface? Who is that?
Soul Man.
Soul Man. Remember that show?
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
haven't
I
seen.
don't.
it.
I'm
I'm
not sure that would stand up to the.
Probably not. if
Current
that's the
climate.
case.
I don't think it would.
Yeah.
I don't think
How
it
about
would.
just other? And it doesn't have to be your all-time favorite, but just other James Earl Jones,
Just
Darth
throw out
Vader.
some-
Yeah,
some
just like
quotes,
throw out
some
some
moments.
quotes, some moments.
I
Yeah,
mean, the redemptive moment when he throws. I mean, it's been
Right.
added. There's been dialogue added to it. Initially,
Yeah.
it was just David Prowse doing the look and then picking
Right.
and throwing up. But then you added with Lucas going no, and throws
Right.
him over the. But
yeah.
the
Join me.
I even when he's super menacing,
Your sister.
like when he knows
Yeah.
the way he says
Yeah.
that with like glee, like he knows he's hit a nerve. Like
Yeah.
Your sister.
You're right.
join me, perhaps.
You don't know
and
the
then Luke,
power
and then Luke
of
pops
the
out and
dark
goes,
side.
sister.
"No!" And just
That's right.
keeps going. Yeah,
Tap the button.
I just love it. There's
Your powers are weak.
yeah, it's-
Good man.
Your
master.
only a master of evil, Darth.
Which is your first
That is not my first name, and you know it.
And you know.
It is Mr. Darth.
Mr. Darth Vader.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
What about moments outside of the original trilogy, like Rogue One or Kenobi?
I'm gonna choke on your aspirations.
Yes,
Yeah.
choke on your
Good like that.
aspirations is a great because
It's so-
Krennic's one
yeah.
of my favorite.
Krennic's
Krennic
so
is one
good.
of my favorite.
Yeah.
Like if you're to celebrate
Imperial.
Disney Star Wars like of that era, I love the character of
Yeah.
Krennic. I'm
He's
so
awesome.
excited he's coming back. For,
I know. He's awesome.
For,
I know.
Andor season
I
2.
know.
But yeah, seeing him, I love the.
Director.
You already talked about it. I love the
Director.
Kenobi, Vader
The Kenobi
fight at the end of.
It's
at the
just-
end of that show. Is
Yeah.
great.
It has become one. It's one of my favorite moments. I think in all of Star Wars. It's just so good. The dialogue, the emotion behind. It's just so good.
I also just love the when we talk about the prequels, I like the when the mask comes on and he sits up. Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yes, master.
Yeah,
It's
that's
So deep,
It's-
like so
Yes.
rich and full.
Is she
Where
safe?
is
Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?
You know, as we age, our
It's
voices
so good.
begin to
Yes.
die.
Is she safe?
If he could go
is-
back and do it again, I wonder if.
All right.
I mean, you can't. It's never. You can't ever quite duplicate it. But I
Yeah.
wonder what it would sound like with.
Yeah.
Totally. So cool.
Yes, master. Yes, master.
I hope they don't overdo it with the AI stuff.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we'll see. But ultimately, I think it's Star Wars will be Star Wars to do. I don't know what the details are, but
Yeah.
I think he left it to them to
Yeah.
to do. Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's just, what a legend.
I
So
know.
good.
I know it.
Transitioning to a different topic here, real quick. Lando
Rings of Power. Oh, sorry.
Calrissian.
We're talking about Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Lando Calrissian.
Whoa. What have we here?
Lando. Lando system.
Lando system.
It's not a system, it's a
It's
man.
not a system, it's a man. How you doing, yo, pirate? So good to see
How
you.
you doing?
Uh,
man?
Lando movie.
Chewbacca.
So we've got obviously Donald Glover there's been in the works ever since the Disney investors meeting, in 2020, I think it was, when they announced that they were going to do a Lando show, a Lando series. Then there's been really no announcement about it, so everyone kind of assumed that fell off and is kind of gone the way of what was the Republic, New Republic
Rangers.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah.
Which I think changed for a number of reasons. There hasn't been a ton of updates, except in the last handful of months, there were then reports that this Lando show was then going to be developed into a movie, and that they would actually not be doing a show. They would do the movie, and that Donald Glover and his brother, who have done a lot of projects writing and developing together, would be the ones creating
it. Yeah.
And Donald Glover recently, within the last couple weeks, was doing an interview about some other project he was involved in, and he actually, on the record, answered some questions about Star Wars.
Oh, really?
And about Lando. And he said he is working on a script. He is actively writing, and and again, he didn't say how far along or anything, but he said, "Yeah, it's something I'm writing with my brother. We're creating this." But the big headline that was going around that was kind of trending this week was, he said, "The thing for me is Lando is a scoundrel. He is not caught up in he's like, to me, Lando would probably be like, oh, there's this going on and all this war, man, that's whack. Like, I'm just trying to make money.
Right.
Like, I'm just trying to do my thing and make money." And he said, so my biggest thing is if there's one mission I have for this movie, it's to make Star Wars fun. I want this to be a fun movie.
Yeah.
And he said, and that's not a shot at other movies. There are reasons why certain movies and like he said, a lot of stuff involving the Skywalkers and that whole lineage and everything, it has the tendency to get very serious because there are huge galactic stakes and it gets very serious.
Yeah.
But I do think that throughout the years, there have been some times where I feel like we've cast aside too much, or we've cast to the side too much the fact that Star Wars needs to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so I want to really get back to making sure that this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
And I'll open up to you guys for overall thoughts. To me, when I heard that, I didn't take that as a big shot at other movies. I actually really agree with that. Like, I think I think that there are reasons other movies are what they are, but when I hear him describe it, the first thing I actually think of is how much fun Solo is. Because to me, that movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think
agree.
as time goes on, there are movies that I would rank maybe higher if I had to rank all the Star Wars movies, this. But it's also not the first movie I go, there are other movies that I would have higher, but I wouldn't necessarily go to them when I'm on an airplane and just want to have a good time.
Right.
There are certain Star Wars
that's
movies
true.
that I love.
That's true.
That I don't go back and rewatch unless I'm in a certain kind of a
For sure.
mood.
But if Solo's on, I'm usually watching
I'm
it.
stopping and watching because it is a fun movie.
It
It's
is
a better movie. Which is a better movie?
The Fool or the Fool Who Follows.
The Fool. Schindler's List or Young Frankenstein? Which movie might you watch before you go to bed?
Well, the one who stars, obviously the one who stars Frank Barone.
Schindler's List is it's a very
Barone.
important,
Yes.
significant. I think everybody should see it.
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily pull that up over my
On
Cheerios.
repeat.
I
Yeah.
might not,
Yeah.
but I would definitely. Young Frankenstein just pops up sometimes. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm starting in the middle. I'm gonna just watch the scene.
Yeah.
I might just start in the middle and watch Solo.
Exactly.
Watch
I might
the
just watch
heist
the
or two.
Solo meeting Chewbacca. I might just start there,
Yeah.
or the Kira. It's just exactly right.
Yeah.
It
You
fits
look
certain.
great.
It gives a certain feeling, and it's
Totally.
fun.
Yeah.
So
It's
on that
fun.
note, what's your guys' reaction when you hear Donald Glover talk about? Does that make you excited? Does that make you feel like, yeah, that's right?
I think it would be
want some more of
perfect.
that.
I think that would be great because by the time we get to Lando, we don't get a lot of. Well, Han Solo gets pulled in pretty quickly, but you get a real clear picture of who he is.
Yeah.
We don't always get that about Lando.
Yeah.
He's
True.
the administrator at Cloud City. Okay, he's a bureaucrat.
Yep.
But that's not who he was before. He's
No,
the
he
scoundrel
becomes
who
that, yeah.
owned the Falcon, who lost it in a sabacc game. There's a whole history there
Yep.
that we don't know.
Yeah.
He made
that-
some money with the Tabana gas. That's kind of how he falls into
Yeah.
the Cloud City thing, and then ends up. Yeah.
We gotta see that guy, the guy
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
scrounging for a living, the character who's
Yeah.
underhanded and a trickster, and that's the guy.
The outlaw.
Yeah, those are the kind of
The
things, and
scoundrel.
that lends itself to heist things and
Yeah.
schemes and
yeah.
betrayal and double crossing.
Totally.
It's the stuff we see in Solo.
Yep.
You
It
could do a
is.
ton of that
Yeah.
with Lando.
Yeah.
The card game where you get the card up, it's
Oh, yeah.
Sabacc
It's
card up the
classic.
sleeve. By the way, if you haven't played Outlaws, you can cheat in Sabacc
You can, yeah.
multiple
Love
ways.
it.
You can do a double draw. You can draw 2 cards if you can do it right. So I would love to see something like that. That would be
Yeah.
that would be a blast. That would be fun.
Yeah. It's
I agree. Make it fun.
I agree. I like that. I also like the quote of he is a scoundrel.
Yeah.
And like emphasizing that time period
You old
of
pirate.
Lando's life, like really before he becomes what he does in the Rebel Alliance. But yeah, I mean it's the same. It's like you said, it's Solo. It's the history, it's the backstory of
The original
like
owner of
Han.
the
It's-
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
that's
yeah.
you can see all that.
Yeah.
How that came to be.
Yeah, it was fun seeing his. Obviously, Solo is about Solo.
Yeah.
Han Solo. But it was fun seeing glimpses of Lando in that and seeing it, like that kind of history
For
and
sure.
the connection between the two. It'll be cool seeing something that's more focused on him too
Yeah.
now and getting more of that his character shining through
Yeah.
of that time period of the scoundrel and the smooth talker and
You know who I think Lando really is? So we know Jack Sparrow was who we talked about. Who did Johnny Depp get Jack Sparrow from?
Was it Keith Richards? Right.
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards and Oh.
There was one other. There was
Yeah,
a
Keith
crux.
Richards.
Keith Richards was the main crux of it.
And wait, who else did the? You.
Very much.
Anyway,
Very much.
I think Donald Glover can draw from, honestly, Prince.
Oh, you know.
Yeah.
Prince has
Actually,
a
yeah.
vibe to him
You're not.
that is like
it is kind
Do you
of.
know what I've
just
actually heard?
cocky and
Lando-esque.
cool and above it,
Smooth.
and you can't put your
Totally
finger
Prince.
on exactly. You don't know
Yes.
exactly what he's thinking, and,
Yeah.
but it's playful.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem mean spirited, but it definitely seems arrogant. Like there's
Totally.
something there.
Do you know what I've actually
Yeah,
heard?
no, you're
Johnny,
right.
Johnny
You're right.
Depp has said even so the rock and roll aspect of like Keith Richards.
Yeah.
But then also I've heard him say, it was directly from him or one of the creatives that said a big influence was Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday.
There you go.
And because he's even the
Yeah.
way the a little bit of the slurred speech, this like this overconfidence.
Yes.
But also like he's overconfident
funny.
because he gets a way out. Like
Because it is. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he knows he's also super capable.
That's right.
Where Jack Sparrow is like there's part of it that like obviously it leans into the silly more
Yeah.
than like a Doc Holliday. But it, like even Doc Holliday, he's doing the he's got the he's
right.
got the cup and he's doing all the and he's like being cool. But then also you don't really want to go up against him because he can handle himself.
That's right.
Like that's the
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow stuff. Yeah, no.
So
I
Lando
love it.
playing Sabacc
Prince.
is Prince playing the guitar.
It's Prince.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like-
you're right.
I like it.
That's
It's
great.
Playful. It's
It
complete
is.
mastery,
Yeah.
arrogance.
Yes.
Arrogant, smooth.
It's just-
Totally. Just
Yeah.
and in a Prince way, like Lando just marches to the beat of his own drum too, kind of
Yeah.
like you can't really box this guy in. You're not sure what he's gonna
Not
do.
intimidated by anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little
I
bit.
like it.
Sometimes
is
you
good.
consider him a little rude,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you get to know him, most people are like, yeah, but you don't know the guy. There's
Yes.
something in there.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like
I
it.
don't know. We'll see what he does.
I like it.
Whoa,
The clothes,
whoa.
The outfits.
Yeah,
The
the
capes.
outfit is right up
That's true.
Prince's alley for sure.
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian.
He'll be the artist formerly known as Lando.
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it's
That's good.
when I think of one, I mean obviously I try not to look too deeply into the release dates because then I get a little bit sad because this
Because it never
movie's
happened.
not going to come out until maybe 2030,
Right.
which seems like a long ways away. Except we're almost into 2025. So like we're
Man, it's crazy.
We're I'm actually feeling a little bit of nervousness regarding some of the things they've already fully announced.
How's it going to get there?
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of a little nervous
Yeah.
about, okay, we haven't heard anything about James Mangold's movie in a little while.
Uh-huh.
Just hoping that's still going. I mean, I think everyone's very confident that the Mandalorian movie is happening and is happening first. The Rey movie, I'm still
The
convinced
Filoni movie.
is happening. The Filoni
Mhm.
movie's a little further off, I think, as far as down the road.
Yeah.
And the Mangold movie, so they have 4 official movies that they've actually had people out on stage to talk about. Lando's not one of them, but Donald Glover is talking about it,
Yeah.
and so is Sean Levy is talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. He is.
He's writing, but Disney's never officially. Disney has officially talked about Lando as a series before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that that's something that's going to come to fruition, get all the way there, get to the finish line. But it does feel like, especially with them transitioning away from the live action TV shows, hey, get a few of these movies in development at the same time. It's not always the same crew that's working on everything.
Right.
Especially if a Lando movie might be a little bit smaller scale than like a Rey movie.
Mhm.
Or like a little bit more, less big galactic stakes, perhaps. Hopefully they can kind of get ahead and have a couple of these things lined
Yeah.
up where
We
we get that 4 or 5 year stretch where, like, oh, we get 3 movies in 5 years. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
We
Yeah.
talked about this on the last, couple weeks ago. I worry a little bit. Movies are a great way to keep a character mysterious.
Yeah.
TV shows are always seem
More
to
depth.
focus on let's go and see what
Let's go deep.
was Lando thinking when he was playing
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabak to win the Falcon.
Totally.
But the movies they don't get bogged down in that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The motivation behind it. Why was his mother mean to him? Why
Yeah.
does he dress like that when he was a kid? Did he find those kind of things come out
He wore capes
in
because
a
he loved Superman.
show?
Yeah.
That was
And
all.
often we talked about don't ever meet your heroes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Some element of me is worried now about a show because I feel like it might tell me something about Lando that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
The more you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I wish,
Not a shot at the- not a
wish I
shot at-
didn't know that.
Not a shot at the Acolyte. I kind of wish I didn't know that the Jedi were
that
rough during that
incompetent.
time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that just devious.
Devious.
Yeah.
No,
It's
you're
like-
right.
It's one thing about being like blindfully incompetent, like I would say they are in the prequels, of like
right.
they are blinded by it. They're not actively making evil
Yeah.
choices or personal, like they're blinded by
Not
their
helping.
own arrogance. But
Yeah.
they're not like, oh, we made a mistake, let's cover it
Let's
up.
cover it up,
Like, Mace
right.
Windu's not covering stuff up.
Right.
He's just like, there's not a problem. There's not a problem. Okay, it's time to inform them.
there's a
that
problem.
their ability to use the
Yeah.
force is diminished.
Yeah.
Like he admits it. Okay, if Anakin, if what you say is true, you have earned my trust. Finally, if Palpatine is it, then you have earned my
Then,
trust.
yeah.
I'm on board now. It
And
took
those
me a
that
while.
were covering things up, Anakin,
Mhm.
were the ones that turned evil.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. So I'm with you. There's sometimes you're
Yeah.
like,
You
do
know?
you want to poke
I
into this
agree.
box or
Yeah.
want to see under this thing?
Depends
So
what it
We'll
is.
see. So I'm excited. I was kind of hoping for a movie.
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for more
Take
Star
this
Wars
survey.
movies now. To be
I am
honest,
Me
too.
too.
I'm ready for more Star Wars movies.
Give me Star Wars movies. If I'm being honest, I miss the time period of like 2017, 2018, 2019 of people just like, we're looking forward to the next Star Wars movie. Even though I've enjoyed the shows, there is something culturally of feeling like Star Wars on a pop culture standpoint is not as prominent as it was 5 years ago, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is within the Star Wars bubble, like of us,
Right.
people who,
Yeah, but it's not.
but it's not your
Externally.
average person at church is going up to you asking about Star Wars or asking about
Yeah.
the Star Wars movie, or like the average person's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see that new Star Wars movie, or
Even the shows.
because
like,
the
oh,
shows are shows are always a little bit more inside baseball type of a thing of like
They are.
there is a barrier of entry for some of these things of like, if you don't know a ton about Star Wars Rebels, you will feel a little behind watching Ahsoka.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's just a lot there.
That's right.
I don't know who Thrawn is.
Yeah,
I don't know who Ahsoka
Ezra
is. I
is.
don't know who Ezra is. I don't know
Right.
who Sabine is.
Right.
You can follow some of the basic plot, but you're going to miss a lot of the character moments and the importance
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Mando was more of an entry point because
Absolutely.
it's a new character.
We
That's
don't know
why
anything.
people
We don't
hopped
know
on.
anything.
But there are some of these other shows that are a little bit trickier, and so because of that, it is like I've heard and even talked to some people who are like, yeah, I want to get into more of the Star Wars shows, but where should I start? And it's not a great answer other than I would say as far as live action stuff, I'd probably tell people start with Mando because you can kind of get a feel for the show.
Right.
And then it does dive deeper into some stuff. Or I'd say, hey, if you watch the movies,
watch Kenobi or
if you watch the
Andor.
movies, you watch Kenobi, or if you want to see what happened right before Rogue One, let's watch Andor, and that'll lead into it, so you have a starting point. But yeah, I'm with you for the movies, or for this era we're kind of heading into. I'm itching for the movies.
Do you
so
think?
I'm excited for it?
Do you? I was thinking about why certain shows work. Why do certain shows work? I think it's possible that Andor works so well because they're dealing with a vast storyline. It's galactic.
Yeah.
It's galactic.
Yeah.
It is.
The Acolyte was, but it feels smaller because it's one
about
little
incident,
microcosm.
kind of.
Yeah.
Ahsoka is galactic, but we're dealing with the character.
Yeah.
Andor is a character, but within the story of the beginning
Yeah.
of the Rebel Alliance.
And Andor does
it's
do
massive.
And
There's a
Andor
lot of places
does
to
a
go.
good job of you're not always following Cassian.
That's right.
Like part of the reason why it feels so it paints the picture of the galactic scale is because they go and they're showing you Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
They're
And they got
going and
Luthen.
showing you.
He's the vessel.
They're
But there are all
showing
these other pieces that are-
things,
Totally.
and he's the focus.
Yeah.
But they are showing here, whereas Ahsoka is mostly Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka. You're
They
following
could have
Ahsoka
called
the
it-
whole time.
they
You're
could have
following
named it-
Obi-Wan.
I don't think they could name Ahsoka anything else. Or Obi-Wan. They couldn't name it anything else. They
No,
could have
because
named
you really are following.
Andor could have been named
It could
Yeah.
be the rebellion.
the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or
The beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
the Alliance, or
Totally.
could have been
Rebels.
Perhaps
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
could have.
that is why it has a different.
Yeah.
It feels more grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. I think so.
Yep.
And because of that, I think it maybe even feels while there's multiple different things that are going on, it feels to me more like it feels grand and also feels more like a fleshed out kind of story in a sense, and not like a chapter in this character's life. We're like
Yeah.
so meaning even though it is like a specific, but it's like, cool, we're not just going to be like, here's this adventure that Obi-Wan went on, or here's this adventure that Andor went on.
Yeah.
Here's going on with this time period.
Mhm.
Yes, Andor is the main character. It's named Andor. And then, like you said, then we're going to Mon Mothma's dinner party.
Mhm.
You're finding out what's going on here. We don't get in some of these other shows, even though I love these other shows, we don't get in Obi-Wan. Okay, it's Obi-Wan and this is what's going on, and then we cut to we do get with Reva, we get some of the stuff on the Inquisitor side, but we don't get a ton of like, and then here's what's going on Imperial officer wise. And then here's what's going on the local
Unrelated
side.
to Obi-Wan.
Unrelated to Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
It's
like
all like
Andor is
Yeah.
we get to
unrelated.
the Inquisitors, it's like we're hunting Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
We get to
Vader.
I know what you mean.
We're
we
hunting
get to
Obi-Wan.
Uncle Owen. We get to Uncle Owen, and he's like,
Still
stay
about
away
Obi-Wan.
from Obi-Wan.
It's
Like,
still on there.
Yeah.
So while I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
all that because I love Obi-Wan, there is I've talked to some people who love, and I loved Ahsoka. I've also talked to some people who are like, oh, I liked Ahsoka. I think Abigail was like, I liked Ahsoka. I just kind of felt like if you don't know that character, don't care about that character as much.
There's not a connection.
There's
Right.
not a huge other thing to get me into
Yeah.
it. And then I'm supposed to be really excited about this Thrawn character that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
It's exciting for us who have known Thrawn. And
Yeah.
are
It is.
excited
It's
for
a
it.
deeper cut
But
show.
so it's just a different type
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
So I think again with the movies you're able to kind of get back to the traditional style of multiple things, a little bit of a grander thing, while also feeling like we've talked about it ad nauseum, that some of the shows feel like a movie that they tried to stretch out into a show
Yep.
versus
Yeah.
kind of the traditional format.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for some more movie stuff. Even though
I
I
am
like the
too.
shows.
I'm excited for some more movie stuff. I know, just bringing things back to Vader too. Before we wrap up, we got some comments that just say favorite moments. Basically, every scene with Vader in the original trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a scene with Vader and James Earl Jones' voice that I don't like. They're all,
Yeah.
they're all
Rule the
just
galaxy's
great. They're all
fallen
great,
sun.
and they're all
is that?
quotable. They're all quotable. You can
Sure.
quote
Awesome.
everything. Paul in the chat says, Andor's small and big at the same time.
It is.
It's theoretically
Yeah.
about Cassian, but it's also about the rebellion.
That's right.
Exactly.
And it doesn't get into
capture
the
that-
mystical side because it doesn't get into the Force users and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's a very
And they
grounded
capture it
show.
so well.
Yeah,
They
it's
capture
great.
the focus on Andor while capturing the big grand scope of things so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, James Earl Jones, Darth Vader, so many moments. I mean, you could quote left and right. So sad
So
to hear his
Yeah.
passing, but obviously we're so thankful for what he gave us.
We are.
and what we've got to
Yeah,
remember him by.
for
Love
sure.
Yep.
I love it.
Next week, are we going to talk about Lego? Let's do
Yeah.
that next week.
Yeah,
We will.
rebuild.
We'll do it next week.
Can we agree to all watch the whole thing? Is that okay?
I've
Rebuild
watched
the
it with my
Galaxy.
son Isaiah.
Okay.
So we love
I'll
it.
try to get with my kids
Jedi
and watch
Bob.
it.
Jedi
Coming
Bob.
your way next
Jedi
week.
Bob.
Yep. Rebuild the Galaxy.
We'll do it.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Nate? where can
Anything
the
else?
people-
All right.
Where can
Well,
the people find us? Take
as
us home.
always, thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and smash the notification bell. We loved kind of celebrating James Earl Jones and just kind of remembering the character,
Yeah.
the iconic character of Darth Vader. So, yeah, if you made it this far, thanks. We appreciate it. We'll
Yeah.
catch you guys in the next one. And as always, may the Force
May the Force
be with
be
you.
with you.
I'll never join you.
Join me.
I don't even know the exact quote, but what I was gonna say is,
We'll
I
rule the
love-
galaxy
I was
as
starting-
father
I was
and
get-
son.
I got into that earlier
Father and
of that
son.
like power stance of the father and son, and he's got like this fist where he's both like, take my hand, and also if not, it's right here. To,
It's
like,
an arm
pound you
wrestle.
with it.
just pop you.
Cut off your other hand with it.
I just
You don't know
Know
the power of the dark side.
Force is strong with this one.
now I'm just going back to again. I love the yeah. What? I don't
What?
know how I didn't say that one earlier.
That's good. What?
I love it.
I have you now.
I have you now. Woohoo!
All right, kid, let's blow this thing and
That-
go home.
That whole scene is a microcosm
What?
of that movie, which is so great. It's so quick.
Happens in 4 seconds.
It's-
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo! What?
Boom. What?
And
Vader
this-
flies off.
Great kid. Let's
Yeah.
blow
Han
this thing,
opens
go
it up.
home.
Yeah.
Luke drops it in.
We're out of here.
We're out of here.
And then we're skipping down the yellow brick road.
We
with
are.
heroes. I also love. I was just watching.
As we
the
kill
end of it
billions.
the other day. R2's been fried,
Yeah.
completely fried. Oh, he'll be all right. Luke just is not worried.
Not
about
at
R2
all.
right now. Like, oh, please, I do hope you can repair him. You use any of my parts. Oh, he'll be fine. Woohoo!